Ray Dinger. It's another Get Eddie Strikes Out on. We'll see if we can get Ray on maybe by 2019, the next time the Eagles win a champion. Anyway, your calls. Let's get right to it. I've talked enough. And we'll start this hour with PJ in Atlanta, and he's on Mad Dog Unleashed. PJ, welcome. How are you today? What do you have?
Chris, great backstory on the Giants. George Young came in '79, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and that's when they drafted Phil, and after Herman Edwards runs it back, Sarchik fumbles.
That's when, yeah, and he drafted Phil, and he got booed out of the building. Here's the two things George did that are everlasting. He gave the Giants a quarterback, and he gave the Giants Lawrence Taylor. And remember, Lawrence Taylor was not the number one pick in the draft. George Rogers was. Don't forget that.
Oh, yeah. I would love to get an interview with Bill Arnsparger or John McVay, because that's his grandson, Sean McVay, who's the Rams guy.
Right.
But my question is, has Al lost his fastball, dude?
Yeah, I said this.
I know you bring up the Kremlin, and he brought up East Germany. Does he want to get on Bel Air faster than anybody else?
I mentioned this yesterday, and I love Al. And so for me to say this is tricky because he's a wonderful broadcaster. Mount Rush, he's up there with Emberg, and Gowdy. That's saying something. Here's the best way to explain it. He may not like it, and I'll hear this, but I don't care. He broadcast that game on Sunday like it was Falcons and Bucks in October. That's what he did. Yeah. He did not treat that game, for whatever the reason. Maybe he's done too many of them. He was stale. He did not treat that game with the Super Bowl reverence, with that franchise finally winning something. He did not treat that like he should have treated it. He had I did not like the game. The enthusiasm level was not as high, in my opinion, as it should have been. Case closed.
And the point on the 30 for 30, the very first part where they get on the plane together and they don't realize that they're going to this.
Yeah, they're going to the same job.
I think that's where Belichick realizes that it's a different business world than he envisioned. And he's under Parcells' wing, but he knows that at any given time, something can transpire, just like you at your business. You've got a little carte blanche over somebody else. I really think that that's where he learned his lessons, was on that flight over. It was a great piece, but, Belichick does get carte blanche, whatever he's doing. He's 5-3, whatever. But a great piece, great show, Chris. You're fantastic.
All right, PJ.
Great day, man.
Well, the bottom line is, if you haven't seen it yet, Belichick and Parcells both go to New York at the same time on the same aircraft in 1981 or so to coach for Ray Perkins, and both did not know they each were on the plane, and they knew each other. Both did not know each were on the plane. Bill was going in to be a special teams coach, and Parcells was going in to be the defensive coordinator under Perkins, or linebacker coach, one or the other. And they didn't know they were on the same plane. They get off the plane, they go to the carousel to get their bags. Hey, you on this plane too? You going to the Giants? They didn't know. That's what PJ meant there from that standpoint. Ryan in Jersey, he's with us here on Mad Dog Unleashed. Ryan, welcome. How are you today? What do you have for me?
Doggy, how you doing, bud?
All right, Ryan, thank you. Let me hear now. Fire away.
Hey, fascinating stuff on the Giants. Obviously, I'm a G-Man fan. I'm very surprised about what you've been sharing today, only because if Mara wanted Bill back in, why couldn't he fire George, bring Bill back in?
Wellington was not going to fire. Wellington was not going to fire. He was not going to fire George, who had won 2 Super Bowls for him, had been there 17 years, had got the team out of dysfunction. He was not going to do that, especially when he was near the end of his career. He was not going to force George, and plus the fact it may have been part of Wellington that thought bringing Bill back would not be great because you never go back to the same place that you once coached. That may have crept in here too, but that was never going to happen. You know what George used to tell me all the time?
Yeah.
You know what used to worry George all the time about running the Giants?
Go ahead.
The Mara dinner table. Mara's Wellington had 13.
You said dysfunctional.
Wellington had 13 kids, or 11 kids. He's got 11 kids, and a lot of boys, and a lot of them in the sport. Right. And George was always wondering, geez, I'm in Jersey. I wonder what Wellington and they're all talking about over dinner up there in Westchester County, and I can't do anything about it. That used to bother. George used to worry about that all the time.
Yeah. My next question is, so Belichick's the defensive coordinator. He's been watching Lawrence Taylor and and grooming them and coaching them. And I remember a story in San Francisco where they'd pull up to the hotel and they'd look across the street and see a strip club. Are you telling me that LT did not break curfew? And Belichick and Parcells let that go? They totally did. This was a personal thing, and he's going after the owner. I promise you. I
don't know what happened with this Belichick and Malcolm Butler thing. Brady just tweeted out praising Butler. It was almost a going away tweet, knowing that he's going to leave because he knows he's a free agent. So it's almost like, you've been a great teammate, blah, blah, blah. But this could be ugly now. Now, I want to give Belichick the benefit of the doubt. He's earned it. But this is a little ugly here in New England right now. We're going to have to keep an eye on it. Jai is in Baltimore. He's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Jai, welcome. How are you today? What do you have for me?
I'm good, Chris. How are you?
All right, Jai. Nice to chat. Good to have you with us here today. Let me hear.
Good. So, Sunday night, it was a great game. Me too. I thought Al was a little stale when the clock ran out at 0-0. He was almost as if he was expecting for something else to happen. He was less enthusiastic.
I just thought that I thought that Al. They didn't know that they didn't know the. They didn't know what was going on there with the touchdowns. They kept on saying these touchdowns are going to be overturned. They called them on the field touchdowns. Those are going to be hard touchdowns to overturn. They had to wait to a commercial break after the long wait with the Erst touchdown to finally tell us, well, remember, he's a runner here, so this will probably not be overturned. I thought, those are tricky calls to be a broadcaster on with the catch stuff. I'll give him a little break on that. I just thought the enthusiasm level out of Al, for whatever the reason, was lacking, to be honest with you. It didn't feel like a Super Bowl the way Al broadcast the game.
Right, yeah, I agree. And my dad had a problem with, he noticed Collinsworth's bias with the Patriots on Sunday night, and my father got annoyed with that, too.
I'm a little surprised by that. I wonder why he'd feel that way. It's not like Belichick is giving Collinsworth any information, I wouldn't think. I was a little surprised by that. Yeah, I sense, a lot of people thought that maybe Collinsworth wanted the Patriots to win. I did not sense that until the last play when he got in the way of Al's call a little bit, but maybe there might be something to it. Go ahead. Next. Let me hear.
I enjoyed the trivia last week, and I have a question for you. Do you know what Bill Parcells' birth name is?
Yeah, Dwayne.
Right.
Dwayne.
Yeah.
That I'm going to know. Jimmy in Cleveland, and he's with us here on Mad Dog Unleashed. Jimmy, it's your turn. How are you today, pal? What do you have for me?
Hey, the first quick thing is I think that Steve has his Mickey Mantle and Danny Kanell. He's fantastic. That's my thought.
Yeah, I like to see. That's an excellent point. That's a good way to explain it, Jimmy. I'd like to see Steve is perfect in that role where he can set up his co-host.
Yeah.
I like to see Sirius, and they haven't asked me, but I'd like to see Sirius use their noodle, don't go crazy and do nutty things, and bring Kanell in here and let him work with Steve. We heard enough last week at the Super Bowl. Kanell's the nicest guy in the world. I don't know if Kanell's going to have an edge to him when he needs to have an edge, but at least as far as the two of them getting along, they would do a very good show. Hopefully Sirius pays attention. Go ahead. Next.
I hope so, too. They were excellent. So two more quick things. First, one thing that's really bothered me about you and Mike for all these years, I've been listening to you since the fan, whenever you started, is you two have something, some things about two topics that we all want to know so much about. And you guys, you're pissing me off because I think you got something that we'd all like to know. It's about this whole thing you're talking about with the Patriots, and it's about the Rams Spygate thing. You guys, Mike always creeps right up to the line with telling us all this stuff, and you're kind of doing that right now. You two have something. I think you said you were into it.
I don't know anything about the Spygate. Now, I noticed, Mike, the Spygate, Jim, is not true. I know nothing. Okay. I can't tell anything about the Spygate. I'm just telling you stuff now. A, I'm in the mood. B, the show just went on, Bill and Bill, so it's fresh. This is our era now. Our era. Remember that. Mike and I started at FAN about a month after the Giants won that Super Bowl. I started in New York, not at FAN. This is our era, and I'm telling you, I'm just giving you some information as far as the Belichick Giants thing, Parcells leaving New England. Just so you know when you watch this, if you haven't seen it yet, well, I heard it's true. Don't anybody tell you differently. Nobody can deny it. This is accurate. Well, I'm giving you accurate info. I would not just say something that's not accurate. Not on this kind of stuff. This is accurate. Okay, Bill wanted to coach the Giants. George wasn't going to allow that. That's Parcells leaving the New England Patriots in 96. And the fact, and I learned some things in that show I wasn't aware of, including the Parcells leaving the Jets, but neither here nor there. And, of course, the situation with the Giants, why Belichick didn't get that job in 1990. Think about it for a second. You got Bill Belichick sitting there, who has orchestrated 2 championships as a defensive coordinator. Parcells is George is a defensive guy. You know, he coached the offensive line of the Colts, but he's a defensive guy. He wants size and run the ball and all those kinds of things. How in the world could you be in a situation where you got Bill who might leave, you got Belichick on your staff, and you let Belichick go? There's got to be something to it, right? Has to be. Well, I told you, he was never going to hire him. Thought he was he didn't like him, couldn't stand him. That's fact. Now, I have my theories of why, but, I mean, that's why Bill ended up in Cleveland. Bill would have coached the Giants, folks. Belichick would have coached the Giants. This is, I mean, you think he's going to the Cleveland Browns and Art Modell? Why would he do that? Now, maybe he didn't want to follow Bill. Would have been tough shoes to follow. I'll be the first to admit that. Hard shoes. And maybe there is a little something to that. But I find it hard to believe that Belichick would here for 5 years. He's still got LT sitting here in Sims, even with Hostetler, that he's going to leave the Giants to go coach the Cleveland Browns for Art Modell. I find it hard to believe. And the one thing that I think you have to keep in mind, okay, they want you to think, the Belichick supporters, they want you to think that Belichick's career in Cleveland fell apart because Modell moved the team. They want you to think that. I can give you the exact date, but in Belichick's, it was either his 4th or his 5th year, when the Browns did announce that they were leaving to go to Baltimore, and Modell bailed out on the city. They did it middle of the year, near the end of the year. The Browns were awful that year. Bill was not going to survive anyway. I mean, if you look at Belichick in Cleveland, go look at his years, folks. I'll give them to you. If he made the playoffs one time. Now, he wasn't ready to coach for whatever the reason, didn't work out. If you look at him, in 91, the Browns were 3-13. The Browns were 6-10. In 92, they were 7-9. In 93, third year, they were 7-9. Then they made the playoffs at 11-5 in 94. And then his last year, they were 5-11. Now, I can give you the exact date. We can look it up. Modell announced he was leaving 2/3 through the season, or halfway through the season, and Belichick was on his way out of there anyway. So this is not his run in Cleveland was not short-circuited by, well, poor Bill. What a rough spot. Modell left. He had nothing to... No. That's nonsense. Don't believe that. He had to do a good job in Cleveland. He had the 1 year, 5 years. Now, this turned out to be a disaster, and Modell, what he did is a disgrace. We all know that. What Modell did is a disgrace because he left that football city, and, that's what O'Malley left the Dodgers, but Robert Moses kicked O'Malley out of there because Robert Moses didn't want to help the Dodgers with the new stadium. Cleveland was going to help Modell with the new stadium, but they were going to take their time about it, and Modell didn't want to be patient because the Indians got a stadium. Indians get a stadium to Jake. Modell sits, be patient. How come you're not taking care of me? The Browns politicians get sloppy about it, but he says, the hell with it, I'm leaving. And he goes to Baltimore. But Belichick's career there was well on its way of ending long before that announcement. You can count me on that. No matter how you cut, Belichick in Cleveland was a failure. There's nothing you can, no matter how you decipher it, it didn't work out. And it wasn't because Modell left Cleveland to go to Baltimore. That is myth. That's not the reason. 18 after the hour, we continue. Mad Dog Unleashed.